Happy 4th of July, everyone. I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Wanted to talk to you here this afternoon about a couple of strong storms that are rolling through parts of central Illinois. Vast majority of us missing out, but a number of us are seeing some of these storms come on in, and the threat is there for a couple of strong storms. We mentioned that the last couple of days, that if we get some storms, there may be some strong storms here. You look at Storm Tracker Doppler, Champaign, Springfield, Decatur, Effingham, Shelbyville, Clinton, Lake Clinton there. A lot of these areas are not seeing anything. It's these storms that are north of I-74, which we said had the best chance to get some of those today. We got in Livingston County right now a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's for this storm that's just northwest of Pontiac. I'll show you that in the Pontiac camera in a moment. And then behind it in LaSalle County, we actually have a tornado warning, and that is for a storm that's south of LaSalle, Peru, crossing I-39 right now. It'll be coming towards Streeter, and eventually it may carry into northern Livingston County. Both these storms moving to the east and southeast at about 25 to 35 miles an hour, and that will keep them well away from Champaign-Urbana, well away from Bloomington. Folks that are in Livingston and northern Ford and northern Iroquois County, though, we'll have to watch for that corridor for these storms as they continue to slowly slide off to the south and to the east. Let's go ahead and just loop this real quick and show you the last hour, the direction that these storms have been going. You'll see in general it's been that south and eastward track here. So this may come as far south as Watseka, Piper City, maybe Fairbury and Forest. Probably will stay just north of Hoopeston, but I'll be close call for northern Vermilion County here. We still got some time for these storms to get that way. And there is some stable air here locally that may help these storms dissipate a little bit, or at least weaken. So we'll watch that closely here, but at least right up to the county line in Livingston County, northwestern Livingston County. That's out by Dana, Long Point, Flanagan, up towards Cornell, and north and west of Pontiac. That's where we'll watch this severe thunderstorm and then the tornado warning that's following here as it continues on through. I want to show you real quick some of the features that we've been watching in this storm. First off, the radar here been a little messy in the last couple of scans, but earlier there was quite some impressive rotation of the storm from Hennepin through Putnam County through down to the panhandle of LaSalle County on I-39 and crossing on in. This right here is where that remnant circulation is. It's not all that impressive, but also what we have going on is that radar is scanning so high at this point that we're not getting quite a close look at the ground. Look at this earlier here. See these reds and greens that are coming together? You can kind of see where it's tried to organize, and they went ahead and pulled the tornado warning due to that earlier rotation. That's just outside of our area. Further to the south, then, we'll continue to watch these storms in Livingston County here. There's Pontiac. Nothing initially stands out to me west of Pontiac, but it still has a little bit of turbulence in there. Really, I think for that storm moving more east and northeast, probably be more of a wind and hail threat. And earlier, some of that hail size did look fairly impressive. That's Chicago. At this point, we'll look at as many different observations and many different radars as we can. That's a look from the Lincoln radar. And the Lincoln radar really earlier with that tornado warning storm was helping to show those colors a bit better as it's moved off to the south and east. We'll watch here and see if anything can't materialize. We know there's at least strong updrafts of these storms, helping to bring the potential for at least some hail and wind with them. And then why don't we go ahead and do the Quad Cities radar up in Bettendorf, Iowa here, and a little far away, but again, we're kind of watching and looking. It's kind of in that middle ground where the radar beams several thousand feet up and get a hard look at it. So the National Weather Service right now at this point, no indications of any future warnings in our area. We just have this severe thunderstorm warning, and that's for areas north and west of Pontiac. Downtown Pontiac, you go north up towards Streeter, you head to the west there towards I-39 by Minonk. Those areas there, Flanagan, Cornell, Long Point, Dana, Streeter in that warning at this point, and so we'll continue to watch closely to see how that pans out. Let's go ahead and pull the Pontiac camera up here and give it a full screen view for you. One of the great things about our Flooring America iNet is that we can get as many views as we can in these different areas, and that's very helpful for knowing what's going on. We can see off in the distance here. If you look on the kind of the left side of the screen, there's just a little bit of a cloud kind of hanging down there. The definition not great, but we know there's a lot of heavy rain, and then occasionally we've been seeing some lightning as well. And then even on the right side of the screen, you look where the water tower is there, you can almost see what's like a tail kind of sticking out there. That is an inflow tail for the storm where you see that updraft. And so we'll get a great view from this camera if something were to happen here over the next little bit. Again, severe thunderstorm warning now for Livingston counties, and that is all we have at this point. Where we will watch is essentially with this complex of storms, I'll draw a line here and kind of say who's in, who's out. I really think at this point, anyone that's south of that line will be okay. And we'll watch Livingston, parts of Ford, Iroquois, and then maybe northern Vermilion County if it gets close enough. So that's the line and the area that I think has the best chance at this point. And so we'll continue to monitor that closely here over the next little bit. It is 3:06 on this 4th of July. Many of you enjoying a nice day today. It is hot. It is summer-like. You're getting out and enjoying a lot of the nice weather. Certainly, this batch of storms, as we continue to watch, will give some of us rain. Not everyone. Pontiac, down towards Watsika. I know Sibley's got a big celebration today. Paxton as well. Be a close call. There may be some lightning issues if they get within the 10-mile range for those events. Up in Iroquois County, a number of celebrations there. So we'll watch it and keep a close eye on. In fact, let me throw on the lightning here. He's got a lot of lightning with that. You can see all those lightning strikes, and we'll go ahead and query that and just say, hey, how many lightning strikes are we seeing over the last little bit? And that number is, that is a lot of strikes there in the last 15 minutes. Looks like over 800 strikes, and you just see them continuing to filter on through. And so that's signs that at least we have instability. I mentioned in the newscast last night and yesterday, I said, I think things are going to be okay, but if we get a storm or two, it's not going to be a widespread event, but if we get a storm or two, it will be very unstable if it can break through that cap. We thought the lid would hold for a lot of us, but the map that I showed yesterday here, let me pull my graphic up and kind of give you an idea. The map that I showed yesterday was this one here of where I thought the best chance would be, and that's essentially panning out. Pop-up storms during the afternoon. There may be a better chance late tonight, but that may end up being just north and east of our area. I still think that a vast majority of us are going to stay dry today. Better chance will probably be tomorrow. We got a little complex, a little remnant complex, and that has developed. Storm Prediction Center says they don't expect it to be widespread enough for a watch. And they think that this is just an isolated couple of storms and not a widespread outbreak or anything like that. So they will avoid issuing a watch at this time, though they're monitoring and keeping an eye on it here. And so we'll continue to watch. Just getting some updates from the National Weather Service. They do not plan to extend the tornado warning into Livingston County. That's some good news here. Still, though, we likely have some heavy rain, frequent lightning, and perhaps some hail in there. Let me go ahead and throw in the hail. Earlier, this storm in northwestern Livingston County did have indications of quite a bit of hail with it. So let me pull up my hail size chart here, and it'll give it a minute to load the data. There we go. We can see, as I back up earlier, you can see that little core. You start seeing those blues, and you're getting larger than 1-inch hail. This was earlier near Dana, Long Point, along I-35 about 20 minutes ago. We were seeing the potential for some ping pong ball to maybe golf ball size hail with that storm, such a strong updraft. Generally, though, on days like today, when you have such intense moisture in the air, there's a lot of moisture, you usually will see that these storms maybe will have some hail to start, but generally transition to a rain and wind event. And sometimes that tornado threat can't be ruled out. Looks like it was realized a little bit for a while, but maybe we're going to sneak out of this without too much in the way of problems. So again, we're here for Livingston County, and we're keeping an eye on Ford and Iroquois County. I want to draw a track on this as well and kind of give you an idea here since there's some lightning. We're going to go with 30 miles per hour. In fact, I'm going to speed that up. I'm going to just do 35 miles an hour out of an abundance of caution, and that way this is the earliest time of arrival. And if we continue at an east and southeastward jog here, just to give you an idea, Fairbury by about 3:20 at the earliest, Piper City 3:45, Onarga about 4 o'clock on the dot, Watsika 4:20, Hoopston perhaps getting closer to the 5 o'clock hour. Again, these are estimates. These storms, they aren't going to, they're kind of like driving with their foot on the pedal, and they speed up a little, slow down, speed up, slow down, but it won't be anything drastic. So that's a good, I think, estimate for the time of arrival here with these particular storms as they come on through. So again, just a severe thunderstorm warning in Livingston County. We're going to watch in that general direction. For note, 4th of July celebrations, I know we've got a couple up in this area. You've got Sibley right there, and then you've got Paxton having one. It will probably, fingers crossed, stay just north, but the lightning might be close enough to where, especially with how much lightning there's been, we have to watch and keep an eye on that. And then I know there's some in Iroquois County today. Iroquois County will probably end up getting some lightning delays if these storms are able to stay strong enough and continue their progression off to the east. So that's something that we're going to continue to monitor. Here's a regional view. A lot of us missing out on any of those storms today. This is the Storm Prediction Center outlook. You can see it's been pretty consistent with for the day today. Livingston, Ford, Iroquois County had the best chance for severe storms in our viewing area, and this afternoon we are realizing that potential with these storms, and so we'll continue to watch. And this is kind of a broad picture. Again, we're looking today, but also tomorrow and then Wednesday as well, with the threat for severe weather. It will be, I think, a daily threat somewhere in the area. Better odds are going to, again, be northeastern central Illinois, so I-74 to the north. Later this week into Thursday, Friday, that threat, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in fact, that threat does shift more to the south. It's mainly wind and flooding. There's a lot of moisture, a lot of rain potential with this here, and so that's something to watch. In fact, I'll show you the 3 days of the Storm Prediction Center outlook. This is today, here's tomorrow, and then there's Wednesday. We're in that ring of fire pattern where you can see those storms continuing to fire up and move on through, and with that instability, that gradient between the hot, dry air and the hot, humid air, the two air masses there along that ring of fire pattern around the ridge, that's when you can get these storm complexes of fire. A very classic summertime pattern for us here into the region. And so that's nothing that is surprising us at this point with these storms. We'll mention too, while we're at it, I'm going to check this graphic. I think this is the right graphic. There we go. There's the heat advisory. Everyone's in a heat advisory through at least Wednesday. Some of us will see that trim back tomorrow, but the heat index values are just going to be very sultry. Today is not bad. I think that the worst is going to be for our area tomorrow and Wednesday. We may see that extend into Thursday and Friday, pending the moisture here into the region. So that's something that we'll watch. And I want to show you this graphic too. I may need to just hide a number or two real fast. So focus on the colors with me for a second. For the tornado threat for today, a 1 for areas in blue where it's a little bit higher. That's where we had that earlier tornado warning in LaSalle County. It's a 2 up there. And so we'll watch that. It's still low. Not a high-end event, but certainly we're going to keep an eye on that, watch for our friends that are up to the north. All right, just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is an update. They're going to extend it for Livingston County here. And that's going to be for the storm near Pontiac. In fact, they're putting a tornado possible tag on that storm west of Pontiac. This will go until 3:45. And the National Weather Service thinks there may be some quarter-size hail here in that storm that's west of Pontiac near Graymont, Flanagan, and up to the north end. That storm will continue to the south and east, east and southeast about 30 miles an hour, it looks like. So that'll be coming into Pontiac proper. Not all that fast moving, but certainly there's a little bit of rotation. We kind of saw that earlier, and I'll pull on our velocity and just kind of take a look here. It's not a well-defined look by any means, but there may be something that's up in there, and so we'll watch it and keep a close eye on it with this particular storm. I'll switch to the Chicago radar. You can almost see where that little weak area of circulation is right in there, and that would probably pass through the east-southeast track, would pass through the south side of Pontiac and eventually on its way towards the Highway 47 corridor between Forest, Fairbury, and Sonneman on the general direction. So we're going to watch that little feature closely. That's it at this point, what we have to watch. But the National Weather Service indicating that they see some weak rotation in there. Let's go ahead and pull up our sky cam real quick. Take a peek at that. In fact, I see a well-defined lowering there to the west. Let me just message the National Weather Service real fast. I'm going to share this camera link with us. In fact, if you want to, you can all watch our Flooring America iNet camera network online. And I believe our Pontiac one is on there. I'm just double checking before I say something. Here we go. Let me just pull that up. Oop, looks like that Pontiac one is down. WMD. Let me check our sister station, WMBD. I'm going to message Chicago real quick. So you're watching live now on that camera west of Pontiac, where we continue to watch and keep an eye on it. We're going to watch that very closely here. Let me get this link. I really want to share this with the National Weather Service so they can see the view from Pontiac. And oh, you know what? Very ominous looking, lowering in there. We can see that flat base, something fairly impressive. That's in the right direction. And there's some motion. Okay, so we're watching this camera now in Pontiac and keeping an eye to the sky at this point. That's the great thing about our iNets is we get to really admire things from afar here. The National Weather Service is now looking at our camera and using that. That's a great partnership we have to keep an eye on things. That storm is coming into Pontiac and very close. In fact, I've got my dad and my aunt are up in Forest now. That, just sending them a message as they're getting in position, and we may get a report from them. So this storm going to carry to the south and east. It'll be Chatsworth, Fairbury, Forest, probably towards Gillen, Onarga, maybe down towards Buckley, and on that direction, probably Watseka south to Hoopeston, and that area is where we'll continue to monitor this closely. So we will keep a close eye on it. Let's go back to that camera. That camera is too good to not look at here. This storm coming into Pontiac. Okay, keeping an eye here. There's some turbulence in there for sure. It's an impressive view, and I'm just checking some of these sources and whatnot, seeing what other spotters are in that area. So we're watching in Pontiac right now of a storm. I'm watching it very closely here. If you're in Pontiac, I would think the current, my current suggestion would be perhaps is to make sure you're indoors, away from outdoor. You want to be inside in a sturdy building. And the lightning, of course, is frequent, and with the wind and hail potential as well, not something that we would want to keep you outside for. We want to be inside with the storm coming through it, and that is surging to the south. And if you look kind of close, production in the back, we're just going to be it's close to standby here. If we see something, then we're going to hop on the airwaves and watch that. This is looking west from downtown Pontiac, and so by now that's kind of coming to the southwest side. I know there's like a Shell gas station over there. It'll be near south of the Pontiac prison. The wind direction also has changed here, where it's more to the west. So we've got some spotters in the area, and keeping a very close eye on it. If not for sure, this storm has some hail and wind with it. That's a given. But the little suspicious area that we've got to watch is going to be just to, I'm kind of checking my graphics really closely here. It's too close to call for, and the lightning too. That's pretty prolific lightning producer here. That is something else to see. This is going to be out by Rooks Creek Cemetery, out the hospital on the west side. You got the interstate exit there for 116. There's that Arby's, the Hampton Inn, the Walmart on the south side, the McDonald's. This could be down there, kind of by the correctional center, moving on through, and Pontiac proper downtown will probably get some hail, but the area of rotations in the south side. No tornado threat immediately from this. It's a close call though. They've got what we call a tornado possible tag, and that tag is one that is given for storms that exhibit some rotation, but not strong enough to produce a tornado. It means they are essentially watching. It's like the last. You got your kid at home. It's like the last thing before you say, okay, you're grounded. It's that last step. You're counting down, and we're at that countdown where if this takes one more step, then they would consider that. But the lightning is quite impressive with this storm as well. This is a mean-looking storm for the city of Pontiac. A lot of wind, a lot of hail, a lot of heavy rain, and the lightning too is quite impressive. And so we will continue to watch and keep a close eye on that. I think at this point it's going to be that 116 exit the west side. In fact, that area actually back in that'd be 2016, I think it was, where Pontiac had the EF2 tornado on the south side. Kind of the similar path for the storm here. It's not that day, don't get me wrong, but it is still one where it's kind of use that as a guidance. If you remember, that hit the Shell gas station. There's a lot of images from there, and then there was some homes on the south side that got hit. Still, though, the storm itself will affect a lot of areas more in Pontiac, and okay, kind of communicating with the National Weather Service here. That lightning is quite impressive. But that 2015 storm kind of went to the south and east side, and that's where south and west side, I should say. That's about where that area of rotation is. A lot of rain coming. Pontiac going to get some good rain out of this, that's for sure. And we'll continue to monitor and see how this pans out. So a lot of turbulence in this storm. It is very near Pontiac, essentially, is where it's at. And I'm trying to make a bearing on what I'm seeing on the radar. It's right on 116, about over the hospital on the west side between the Rooks Creek Cemetery and I-55, kind of wrapped up in there. So it's almost straight kind of to the left. Not... Okay, I think we may have... Oh, there it is. Okay, I thought we lost that camera for a second. It's not the most impressive, but it's close enough where we're going to keep a close eye on that here for the city of Pontiac, and then carrying on towards Highway 54. So here's a regional view. We're not talking about a lot of folks here. I know some folks saying, what about us? What about this? And so National Weather Service saying, there's some rotation. It's not strong enough at this point that they're ready to say tornado warning, but still it's going to be a fairly impressive storm. We've got some spotters up there. We've got my dad is up that way checking things out, and I'm looking for a report from him shortly. And then we've got some other storm chasers that we know of that are in that area. This is a severe thunderstorm warning in Livingston County. It's going to include Pontiac. It'll include areas north of McLean County from Chenoa, Gridley. It's up north. It's the Flanagan, Cornell, Pontiac areas primarily. This does not include Dwight. Does not include Forest or Chatsworth or Strawn or Sibley, but it is close. And so it needs to be watched and keeping a close eye on. That's why we're doing some digital coverage. There's a lot of 4th of July things going on, and that certainly is another factor for why we will watch things closely as folks are out and about. So if you know anyone, the Sibley area, Paxton area, this storm should, fingers crossed, should stay just north, but you'll see some lightning, and that might be a concern There's a Okay, the spotters are saying they may have something down with this particular storm. So we will see and keep a close eye on that. That storm warnings for Pontiac. Okay, they're going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45, and that will be for the storm now over Pontiac. Let's go back to the camera here and see if there's anything down. It's now going to be just south of Pontiac, right on Old 66, about a mile south of the Walmart Supercenter, I think is where it would be in that area. Close call. You can see the flag from right to left. That's a north wind. That's some outflow winds that are wrapping into that area of circulation. I don't have anything that makes me think we need to hit the airwaves yet, but let's see. That would be downtown Pontiac is not in the immediate danger zone of this rotating part, but they're still going to get some wind and the lightning and the hail in this storm, and so that's why we're going to stay on this here with you for a little bit as we keep our eyes on things. Looks like that camera is, did it kind of freeze there? It's frozen. Okay. Hey, production in the back, if we could, can we call to control? And I'd like to do something at 3:30 for 3 minutes. Is that something that we can do? Yeah, I can hear you. All right, sounds good. And we'll just do a quick cut-in just to cover our bases on this since it's 4th of July and holiday weekend. So we're about to do a TV cut-in here. So 3:30 to 3:33, we're still on digital, and we'll stay there. But I want to do that cut-in just to give some folks a heads up with this particular storm. Okay. I'm going to switch to production switcher here. You're still watching that camera. That camera in Pontiac has gone down. Okay, 3:30, perfect. Okay, so we're going to go on here in about 55 seconds from now. We can just roll that severe weather open, and we'll just do a 3-minute cut-in and how to update things. You'll see the screen. If we can put something in program just for now, that way I can do my digital. There's digital is seeing the WCIA 3 news app here, and that's okay. We'll keep that in mind. So there we go. Okay, we're about 20 seconds out from just a 3-minute television cut-in, so bear with us here. You'll see the screen switch to the WCIA logo, and we will go from there. Stand by. Happy 4th of July. I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We wanted to bring you an update on some storms moving through parts of our area here in central Illinois. Time now is 3:30. We have one storm and one warning for the area. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, but it does have what we call a tornado possible tag with it here. That's going to be for Livingston County, right over the city of Pontiac now is where we're watching this particular storm. It's moving to the east and southeast at about 30 miles per hour. No tornado warning at this point. The National Weather Service, though, did let us know. They said, based on what they're seeing, there is some weak rotation, and we have seen that also, and that they cannot rule out that a tornado may briefly touch down, but the overall threat still is limited. There was an earlier spotter report that there may have been a brief touchdown on the southwest side of Pontiac, and so that's something that we'll continue to watch and keep an eye on. We do have some spotters in the area as well watching that. My dad is also up in that area watching and giving us some photos, and we'll continue that digital coverage at 3:33 when we jump off. But wanted to talk about that one storm now for Livingston County. Let's switch over to our rotation and show you what it looks like here. There's just a little bit right in here. In fact, it's on the south side of Pontiac. If you're familiar with Pontiac, the Correctional Center, the Walmart, it's just south of there now, carrying off to the south into the east. We want to give a first heads up for Fairbury and Forest and Chatsworth in that general direction. And it may carry into northern Ford and eventually Iroquois County over the next couple of hours. So we'll watch this storm closely. There's nothing that's intense or impressive with this. This is not a cyclical supercell thunderstorm that will produce some major damage by any means, but it's still strong enough where we'll watch that tornado threat, but we also think that there could be even a little bit in the way of some hail and some wind. I'll switch my graphics over, and we're going to show this more to velocity from Lincoln, and the same thing, some weak rotation being indicated there, and that is what they are going to go ahead and continue to warn for. Just got a new warning, in fact, here, live update on television for you. They have extended the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. That's a tag saying we're monitoring. It's close, but it's not quite worthy of a tornado warning yet. That now for northern Ford and southeastern Livingston County, and that will go until 4:30. That warning will go because of this storm as they've extended it, including Fairbury and Forest and Chatsworth, also including Sonneman, Roberts, Piper City, up towards Stell and Kempton. And this storm, I think, stays well north of Champaign-Urbana as it continues to move to the east and southeast at 30 miles per hour. I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We will be in the studio watching this particular storm. A lot of us staying dry through the rest of the day. We'll still keep you updated. In fact, we'll continue our coverage over on digital platforms here for the next little bit. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Okay, we are clear and back on our digital coverage and keeping an eye on these storms. Looks like at this point, this storm will stay well north of Champaign-Urbana. I am not concerned at this point for that. Do have another storm that's developed off towards El Paso along I-39. That kind of moving a more east and northeastward direction. We'll watch. This is, when I see these storms taking the southeastward turns, that to me signifies that we've got to watch for that rotation. That's what we've been watching here and keeping a close eye on. And so that is something that we'll see for a little bit. Okay, just getting some photos in here and just checking those real fast. Okay, National Weather Service is just talking about their downstream warning they've issued. And let me check here some of these images from relatives. My dad's sending me a photo. And it's... okay. Let me get my bearings here. So again, we're here just talking about this one storm. This isn't a day where we have 4, 5, 6 storms that we have to keep our eyes on. We just get the occasional storm here and there, and we'll continue to monitor things. So let me see if I can see if there's any photo. Okay. So let me just send this via direct message real quick. Okay, sent that way. Okay, we're going to hit the reset button here. I think I'm going to wrap up digital coverage temporarily, and then we'll kind of take care of some things behind the scenes and then jump a little bit once this storm gets close to the Forest and Chatsworth, jump back on if needed. We'll continue to watch. Again, it's this messy complex of storms now coming through Livingston County. Severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible tags now for Livingston, Ford, counties, and then more storms behind it here. Did see a photo, so if you want to head to my Twitter, I've retweeted a photo of what was the reported cone tornado southwest of Pontiac with that particular storm. So if you want to slide over that way, you can do that as well, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on it and see. These storms kind of pulse up and down is what generally happens at this point. You know, it's not a cyclical, long-term, big-time severe weather event, but when it comes to the tornado threat. But when it comes to the hail and wind threat, that may still continue, and that's something that we'll continue to watch with this storm as it moves east and southeast. Eventually, after the panhandle of Ford County, it'll head on down through central and southern Iroquois County, may just barely clip northeastern Vermilion County. So that's something that we'll watch and keep an eye on over the next little bit, and just watch for our northern counties. That's the area we mentioned yesterday that might get some of those storms, and that's why we had that low-end threat for the day today. So we'll continue to watch here with that tornado threat and the hail and wind threat as this complex of storms continues. I want to take you real quick just in northern Illinois. There's more storms causing problems up in the Rockford area. This general trajectory, in my mind, will stay just north of our area. If it did clip someone, it's going to clip the it's going to clip maybe northern Iroquois County. Let me draw you the line here. I think that's heading. I can find my. Here we go. You know, that edge of the storm would probably be right about like that for the second batch that's there, and so that's one that we'll have to keep an eye on as it moves on in that general direction. So we'll continue to monitor and keep a close eye on it. We've got some spotters watching Livingston County storms. Look at the rest of the area. If you're in Springfield, Champaign, Decatur, Mattoon-Charleston, Effingham, Taylorville, Shelbyville, Jacksonville, there's not a whole lot going on. We're really mainly focused on Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois County here for the next little bit as we watch this batch of storms continue off to the east and southeast. And that will continue into some of our Indiana counties here north of I-74. That'd be up towards Lafayette, Indiana, perhaps towards Attica, Indiana. I saw someone asking there. That would be my thoughts on it. I think it'll be too north of Champaign-Urbana and Danville. There's a look right now at Pontiac. Whew, that is some torrential rain coming down. You cannot even see anything in Pontiac. Quite the storm coming on in. It is a wet storm. I'll be very interested to hear some of those rainfall reports from that area, and we'll see if this how it progresses. But that's a good summer storm at the minimum for parts of Livingston County. Just checking power outage numbers. I have only some minor outages reported in parts of Livingston County. Nothing that seems to be, you know, widespread, which is good news. But yeah, radar showing a lot of that wind picking on up and moving on through. So we will keep a very close eye on that. Just checking my radar right now here as well. Get a bearing on what I see happening. And it looks like that area of rotation is really kind of fizzled out at this point. I don't see anything like I did earlier, but still it may cycle, and there's more behind it, and we'll have to watch for Benson, Flanagan, Cornell. A lot of rain up there again. You know, that's what we're going to deal with, is this heavy rain like that here across the region. So we will watch and keep a close eye on it and see what happens. Again, now the severe thunderstorm warning extended to northern Ford County. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back if needed about 3:55, 4 o'clock. We're going to watch from behind the scenes here and keep you updated on digital platforms if needed. And we will watch things and monitor. That'll allow me some time to set some things up and keep an eye on things for this severe threat. Again, this storm, I think, complex stays in Livingston, Ford, Iroquois, maybe northeastern Vermilion County by Hoopston. We'll watch a lot of us staying dry through the day today. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on if necessary as we continue to watch these severe storms in northeast central Illinois. Have a great rest.